guys, welcome back to another video. Today, an easy beginner 3D tutorial teaching you guys how to create these 3D trading cards. Now, this is a part 2 for this 3D digital collectible card video that we made like 9 months ago. But in this video, I showed you how to make these different digital cards using Adobe Photoshop and Adobe After Effects. So what we're gonna do in today's video is actually build on this. Now, I did this in Cinema 4D, but I'm going to be teaching you in Blender because Blender is free. It's a lot more accessible. So today is gonna be easy 3D. This is finished product with a lot more time put into details and things like that. I'm gonna show you all of the exact same steps. These two cards were created using the exact same steps and processes. Only difference, this one I did in like 10 minutes. This one I took like a couple hours just to add nicer details. But again, that part is up to you. Add your own creativity, your own individuality, make something cool. If you do, link me on Instagram _Max Novak. Now, for all of you who aren't that into 3D, who are mainly Premiere After Effects people, I'm also going to give all you Element 3D users a little card template here, and I'm going to show you some tips for Element 3D. But before we do that, a quick word from the sponsor of today's video. Today's video is sponsored by Dell XPS laptops powered by NVIDIA Studio. You guys ask me a lot about computer specs when it comes to making some of the content I show in my tutorials, especially the taxing stuff like 3D or After Effects. Well, today, the kind people over at Dell sent me over this Dell XPS 15 laptop. What I love about this thing, it's powered by NVIDIA Studio technology, meaning it's optimized for digital creators and the software they use. It speeds up 70 plus of the most popular creative applications. So that's amazing. I also love the sleek stealth design here. I love the medium size of the laptop. I can fit it in a backpack and take it on the go. Let's hop into some of the specs of this thing for everyone interested in the tech side. So this laptop is packed with an 11th gen Intel i7, 32 gigabytes of RAM, more than enough to get the job done. Let's check out the NVIDIA control panel here and look at some of the GPU stats. As you can see, NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3050. So you're getting your hands on those new GeForce RTX cards. RTX standing for ray tracing. So you get a super powerful graphics card for gaming, speeding up your digital creation workflow, and you get that real-time ray tracing, which is great for 3D and things like Unreal Engine. Alright, so now let me fire up Adobe Premiere just as an example. We want to make sure when we're making this new project, we enable CUDA so that RTX 3050 GPU is speeding up our workflow. I definitely feel like there's a greatly improved response time in the playback. Everything feels a lot more snappy. Like I mentioned, this one is the XPS 15, but there are other XPS models that I was checking out online. So if you are interested, click my link at the top of the description to learn more. So before we hop into Blender, we're going to start within After Effects. And I do recommend you guys do it in Blender. You can do so much more with 3D in this workflow. You can make things look cooler. You have more control over materials. But if you guys just use After Effects Element 3D, link to that will be down below if you don't have the plugin. Let's show you how you can get started there. So let me create a new composition so we can work from scratch. In my project bin, I'm just going to click this button here, and 1080 by 1080 is fine. Once I've made my new composition, I'm going to right click in this gray space and go to new and create a new solid. I'm just going to name this 3D, and this solid is basically going to be a placeholder that I can put my Element 3D effect onto. So in my effects and presets, I'm going to search for Element 3D and just drop that on there. Either way, in my effect controls, let's go ahead and click Scene Setup for Element. And now what you can do from here is go in my description and download the template file, which I have provided for you. And this is just, again, a simple little box outline that I made in C4D. After I show you all the Element 3D stuff, we're gonna hop into Blender, which again is free. I'm going to show you how you can model one of these yourself extremely easily. And I'll show you how we can trick it out to make it look fancy and animate it. So back in After Effects, let's go to imports. And again, once you've downloaded it, it should just be right here, C4D trading card empty. Click open. If you guys didn't know, the two file formats you can import into Element 3D is OBJ files and Cinema 4D files. So we can just open up this project file. Let's go ahead and click use auto normals and then OK. Now, some things you need to know here, because for some reason, Element 3D is a little bit weird with materials and stacking different parts. So you see, if I kind of rotate, some of these parts look see-through. For some reason, that's a material property issue. Let me shrink myself over here. And what you guys can do is actually just click on this object. So first off, we want to switch from this material view to this mesh view. So make sure you're clicking here. That way, whenever you open this, you can see each of these individual parts. To fix this error where you have the see-through stuff going on, just open up any of these default materials. And you want to slide down in your material settings once you've selected that. At the very bottom, you just want to check on draw back faces. That'll fix that issue. So now let me show you how we can mix and match different materials. If you guys have the Video Copilot Pro Shaders pack, then whenever you open up Element 3D, you should have these little preset shaders. If you guys want, you can just drag and drop these. The only thing is, whenever you drop a new material, you're gonna have to go back, check back on the back faces, and it applies it to everything. The only way to mix and match different materials with Element 3D is actually by dragging this object into this group folder. So just drag it over top like that. And then by selecting this, right-clicking and clicking duplicate model. So you should have both of these in your group folder 1. You can actually open these both up and you can turn on and off specific parts. So say you want to make this part up here gold. Pretty sure that's this cylinder. I'm going to turn off every single part for the first little object here. And then on this cylinder, I'll drag like a gold preset onto there. Then what I'm going to do is in my next part that I've opened up here, I'm going to turn off that gold cylinder part and keep everything else on. And now you can see it's both together and we mix and match. If you want to add different materials to every single part, you're gonna have to go in and do that over and over. That's why I recommend Blender is just better. This is a lot easier in terms of quick time because this is pretty much good. If you're just going for something simple, that's perfect. Again, make sure the back faces, make sure you select the material, draw back faces. That's fine. If you just want that easy 3D card, click OK. Now, in terms of navigating within After Effects and Element 3D, what you want to do is right click in this gray space and create a new camera. We're now going to hop into Blender because again, there's so much more you guys can do with Blender. It's a free tool. You might as well utilize it if you're going to try and create one of these more in-depth looking 3D things. For ease of use, for something quick, Element 3D is awesome. If you want to build on this, check out the tutorials down below. They'll teach you all the little tips and tricks and nitpicky things that you can do with Element 3D. So let's go ahead and fire up Blender. If you guys want to download this, there will be a link down below to get this for free. I'm first going to give you a quick little breakdown on how I modeled this box in Blender. So you guys can follow that if you'd like, or you can use the timestamps if you just plan on using my template. You can just skip the part where we model and you can get right into designing your own box, changing the materials. We'll talk about adding things into the card, adding a camera, and all the cool little designs and other pieces. Once you have Blender open, we're going to use the default cube here to flesh out our card, and we're going to do that by using 3 easy tools. If you guys are confused, pay attention to the showcast keys that are showing in the bottom left. That shows you everything I'm clicking. We're going to start off by switching from object mode to edit mode. So select your cube in the top right and switch over to edit mode. This way we can change around this cube and make it look like our trading card. I'm also going to select faces here so that instead of selecting the corners or the vertices, I can just click on the face of the cube that I'd like to change around. And from here, there's a few things you can do. You can click the G key and just move around your mouse. I just think of G as grab because it lets you grab and move any selection around easy as that. So that's very important. You can click the E key to extrude that face. In the process of this, if you need to look at more exact views, you can use the numpad keys to give yourself side views, above views, below views. Numpad 1 gives you a nice side view. So I'm just going to select one side of this cube, click G, and make it a little bit smaller so that it looks more like a flat box. Next, I'm going to select that front face. I'm going to right click and I'm going to click subdivide. You'll see how once we do that, it splits this face into 4 selectable parts. We're going to go ahead and keep subdividing this face to make more of these selectable parts. And I'm just going to hold down Shift and just click and use this selection box and then click delete and delete faces. That way we've now cut out the center of our box, which is going to be our little display area. It looks a little bit too square, so let's extend the bottom just by clicking the very bottom face, clicking E to extrude, and dragging that down a little bit. Nice, and that's really about it for our display card box. That's really as simple as it goes. Now all we need to do is work on the design for our card, work on changing colors, work on different materials. So let's go ahead and have some fun with this. So if you want to make the shape of your box or your card a little bit more complex, you can just add primitives or basic shapes. All I did was go back into object mode in the top left, and then I clicked Shift A to add another mesh. I added in a cylinder, clicked S to scale that cylinder to my liking, and kind of moved it so that it was inside the card and looked more like a extruding nameplate. I did the exact same thing by adding in a plane. Now we're gonna go in and add fancy images and fancy glowing and shiny different materials, but just your basics so you know how to apply a material. If you select any part of your mesh, for example, we'll go ahead and select this plane first. All you have to do is click new because there hasn't been a material assigned to this mesh yet. And I'm just gonna go ahead and change the basic color here just to show you that we've now assigned a basic texture with a basic color onto that specific part. We can do the same with the cylinder here. Go to your materials, click new, change your color, and there you go. So an easy way to select whole parts and start assigning some unique colors onto them. You can also start adding in text. So back in object mode, you just click Shift A again to add your mesh, and you add in text. To be able to change this text, you just need to switch from object mode to edit mode. So again, you can use that drop down in the top left, or you can just click the tab key as a shortcut. You'll see this little cursor. Go ahead and type in whatever you want, and then use the text options on your right to extrude it, make it look more 3D, change the font, whatever. So now let's decide what we're going to put into this box. You guys may have been wondering how I place different faces into the box. What I'm gonna do is actually link you a full tutorial I made all about creating different 3D characters based on real life people or your own custom designs. I'm not good at 3D modeling, so I use some different softwares to be able to achieve this. Again, it's easier just to link you to that guide because tons of information all about that specific subject than trying to take you through the whole character creation workflow just so I can plop them into the middle of my card. So again, if you want to create Elon Musk or whoever, check out the link below. We talk all about creating the characters, customizing them to your liking, etc., etc. If you guys don't want to add a human face, you can add any 3D object that you find on the internet. Some great places are CG Trader or Turbo Squid. Just search for free 3D model of whatever, so you can put in skulls, characters. I also have a 3D starter pack, which gives you a bunch of great, useful 3D models, things like skulls, roses, chains, a lot of music video themed things. So what I'm gonna do is go up to File, Import, and I'm gonna go ahead and just import one of the 3D models from my 3D starter pack. Now this is pretty big, so I'm gonna click S to scale that down. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just go to my transform settings, rotate and position the face to my liking. So again, in case you guys missed it, you can use any 3D model that you find on the internet. All the links to those ones that I mentioned will be down below. You guys could use my character tutorial if you want to place a specific face in there that you design. Again, a whole workflow for that. So you do have a lot of options. So we have our subject matter inside of our card. Now let's go ahead and just add some cool fancy designs to make it look flashy. So one great tip for you guys whenever you are designing is by adding image textures. What we've done so far, if we just go to our material properties, is just add in a base color material. Let's actually click in the bottom left and change this from a timeline to the shader editor. And you can see a little bit, if we just drag that up and zoom in, you can see a little bit of the node of what we got going on here for the different colors. So for our cube, I'll name this actually card. Say you want to add some fancy design or psychedelic pattern, you can just go on Google and search up any of these patterns. If you are working for some commercial project, again, you guys can use this tools thing here and search for different usage rights. So Creative Commons, you can search by different colors if you need a PNG or whatever. So just for educational purposes, I'm just going to grab one of these images and just right click and save it. And we're going to go ahead and plug that image into the base color node. So to do that, we're just going to click Shift A. If you want, you can also click Add here. And we're just going to search for image texture. Very easy. And just click to add that node. We're going to connect the color node to base color here. And then we're going to click Open. And then just open up the image that you saved from Google or that you made in Photoshop, drew, whatever. There you go. So that's how we can easily add image textures onto the different geometry that we have set up here. Now there are some ways to change this around. For example, the way that this is projected on the box, if you want to change that, you can switch over to the UV editor. This is a little bit complicated, but if we select our box here, and we go to edit mode, we can actually just click A to select all, and then we can right click and click unwrap, UV unwrap. So now we've created this little UV mapping, and you see this weird little pattern in this UV area over top of the image. If we select this pattern and we click G again to grab and move that around, you see how it's changing the image because this is the map for where the image is projected onto our box. And again, this is extreme basics. I really don't want to confuse you guys, but say you want to scale it, you just click S, or you can bring it up. Just gives you some basic ways to change things around. Say you want to change what's inside the box, you guys can hold down Control and just select those inner faces. And let's go to materials and create a new one. So we'll click this plus and then new. And then we're going to go ahead and click assign. So make sure you do that so that you can actually see this change. If you don't assign it, it's still going to be this normal trippy looking one. Now if we go to assign and we change the color, you can see how we can change the insides of the box so that we don't have the box all one texture. Or if there's some specific look or material, you can just look up Blender iridescent material tutorial or glass tutorial or plastic tutorial, and you're going to find a bunch of tutorials showing you different stylized shaders that you can use depending on the design you like. If you want silky iridescent, they'll tell you exactly what you need to do to create that type of look. So don't be afraid to use different tutorials to add on to the look that you're specifically going for here. Let's go ahead and just create a material for the face, just to give you an example. So again, we click plus, we click new. Now another cool little thing that you can do, let's go up to render properties here. You want to go down to film and just make sure transparent is checked on. That way whenever we render out, this will be a transparent background. Makes it a lot easier. You can also check on bloom if you want. This is kind of like a built-in glow. See if we just put the threshold down. Let's go create a new, let's try and make glowing text here now that we have bloom on. So I'll select the text, go down to material properties, click new. And this time our surface, we're going to create an emissive material. And then we'll just choose a color, maybe like the face, put up the strength here. And again, with that bloom, you have this nice, cool glow. So with the bloom on and off, again, go to your render properties. If you check that off, you see you're not going to have that glow. So very, very basic here, guys. If you guys want to have any spinning 3D parts, that's pretty simple as well. Like I did with the little Tesla logos here, or different logos for the different card designs. I'm going to load in another OBJ. So let's maybe just put in this heart or maybe this crystal, place it like up in the corner. So maybe give it a cooler looking material here. So that's fine. Kind of ugly design, but again, I'm just showing you the basic steps here. So to make it rotate, we can click on this yellow box, our object properties, and you can see here, if you just mess around with your rotation, use your rotation Z. You guys can just create a simple little keyframe just by clicking this little dot and then dragging for how long you want and cranking like that. And then you set another little dot to lock in that keyframe. See, here's starting position, ending position. You now have a simple little rotation going on like that. If you want it to be a bit more slow, you can drag that keyframe out. There you go. So that's how you can have these more moving elements, moving 3D elements to make it a little bit more interactive. We're going to take that same little keyframe trick I just showed you to make this spin to add in our camera. So for a camera here, you can click this button just to go into camera view to see where this is pointing. Just popping off of camera view and changing things around to pretty much point the camera where I want it. So you put your camera in your starting position, and then you can just start at 0 here and set keyframe. So you can click and drag down. You can maybe move to 30. Set your keyframes. If it's orange here, that means you need to click again to lock those in. And if we select the camera here, you can see we've now added a simple little keyframe just to add some camera movement. So we can go to 60. You could even just copy, Control C, Control V to paste that. So it kind of goes back to starting position, or really do essentially whatever you guys want. So just adding easy keyframes. It is pretty rushed, but I am showing you all the exact same steps that I use to create something like this. It really just depends on time, the design that you want to put into it. One thing that is really awesome to do is actually use Photoshop to design specific box covers. So again, with using that image texture and using the UV mapping that I was showing you, again, that we talked about. And here's the image texture, which if we go to our shader editor, it's just plugged. It's just this little image texture node that's plugged into here. You can go create any image in Photoshop. Just click this little folder, load that in, change around the UVs, and easily have a front-facing box design or whatever. So there you go, guys. You have everything from your interactive 3D elements here. We've got glow designs. We've got different image texture designs. You want to make sure your render settings are all set up correctly. You want to make sure your file format is something like a TIFF or PNG sequence. So I'll just set it to TIFF. Make sure color depth is RGBA. That way it's going to export out with this transparent background. And then this output here, this is where it's going to start saving all the files. So you can create a new folder. This, right click, new folder. I'll just name this render card. Select that folder and accept. And then this is how long you want to render. So going from frame 1 to 250. This is only like what, 90 frames. So you can put this down to 90. Aspect ratio, let's make that 1080. That's all you really need to know, guys. So you can just click render animation, and it'll start rendering each of those images into the folder that we specified right here. So now you're gonna see each of these images starting to pop up just like this. All you have to do is bring this back into After Effects, and we can right click in the project, go to import multiple files, and just find that folder where you rendered out all those parts. You want to click on the first image, import as TIFF sequence, import as footage, click import, go ahead and click OK, and then done. And there you guys go. This is all transparent in the background. If I toggle that on and off, if I click play, you can see we have animation in here. So I've given you the steps. Go ahead and make some cool stuff, guys. Link me on Instagram _MaxNovak. If you do, I always love seeing what you guys create. Let me pop back in here for my intro. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.